Hello. So, as you can see, I'm assuming from the title, this is a things to know about applying to teach in China. So I'm gonna jump right into that. Preferences. Alright, so for nationality, the absolute preference is American or English British. Another preference would be for them to have a bachelor's degree in the field of education, English or related. Physical preference to have blonde hair and blue eyes, to be in good health. Now this is not a preference, this is the absolute necessity, but passport. If you don't have a passport, don't even bother applying for anything, unless you are in the works of getting that accomplished. Another preference is a TESOL, or CELTA, and all of these are like usually internet-based ESL training courses. And then for you to be from, like I said, an English-speaking country. So there are nationality, education, physical, and legal/passport preferences that they have for hiring English teachers in China. Alright, so their assumptions for when they're hiring English teachers, for the most part, is they would prefer a white person because they feel like if you're not white, then you can't possibly be from Western countries, even though technically America was Native American and Hispanic first. But if you are Asian American or English Asian American or Asian English, or anyway melanated, so Hispanic, African, Black, Indian, like from if you have melanin in your skin, browned, tanned, creamy, then you were basically all in the same boat at that point. I would even say they may prefer Hispanic over Asian over Black American. And that's because they feel like Asian people come from Asia, Black people come from Africa. And so Hispanics can get away because they are technically European, Italians are European, Spanish are European. And so even though their first language is usually not English, they can usually get a little bit more leeway because a lot of times they can look white. They can have that preference. They can still have blonde hair and blue eyes, and it's natural. But definitely Asian American and Black American, we are definitely pretty much in the same boat. It's going to be pretty hard. In general, it's going to be pretty difficult. The most difficult for our two groups to get a job as an English teacher in China. This is being changed as time goes on because there are more and more foreigners that have been coming. And so they're able to see that we can get good quality teachers without them having to be white. There's coming a lot more people, not nowhere near the majority, but a lot more people doing this hiring are coming to understand that there's no one way to appear to be an native English speaker. So now I want to talk about a couple of ways that you can get into China because it's not as restricted as, say, South Korea. One way would be through school. So you can go through some sort of a master's program or a bachelor's program, or using your TESOL, TOEFL, CELTA programs to get you a job in China. Now, when I say school, I mean that you are most likely trying to gain a bachelor's or a master's, or I don't know if they have PhDs for this yet, but bachelor's or a master's in ESL. And so most of those programs are going to have a component where you actually go to China as your practicum to teach English, or go to a foreign country that wants English teachers to teach English. And so that would be one way. That's the way I went. Originally I was searching for self-employment. I was looking to self-employ. I was going through Dave's ESL Cafe looking for jobs, And then in those postings, I ended up coming across get your master's degree in 1 year and teach English in China. And so I was like, oh, so I don't have to bypass one to take on the other. I don't have to skip graduate school and to go to China. I didn't have to skip China and be stuck in the US for 2 to 3 years. And I began my classes June of 2012. I graduated undergrad April 2012, started graduate school June 2012, and then graduated, finished, was approved, my thesis was approved, so I was officially done October 2013. So it took me a little less than a year and a half to complete mine, and actually it only took me about a year and like 2 to 3 months to complete my thesis. It just took them another 3 months to finally get to it, review it, and approve it. So another way would be Peace Corps. This may sound weird, but Peace Corps places volunteer Americans in locations that need volunteers in the sectors that they're needed in. English is a very big sector, and this could coincide with going to a graduate program that partners with Peace Corps, and then you'll be that much more likely to actually be placed in an ESL position teaching English. And you can definitely list your preference as China. Now I will say this, if you take the Peace Corps route, just know it's not guaranteed you're going to be teaching English, and it's not guaranteed you're going to be an Asian no matter what you list your preferences to be, because that's not the way Peace Corps works. They review your skills and they place you where they feel you will best benefit the people, and where your skills are being requested by the people of that area. So another way would be recruiters, using different recruiters such as Reach to Teach, HES, Teachaway. I don't know if they do China, but there are a lot of different recruiters you can go through. Be careful, because you never know, and if you have to pay a fee, that's not a legit recruiter, because the recruiters are not going to charge you a fee. They're going to charge the school that you're being hired for a fee, not you as the applicant. And then the final way would be just to have the hookup. You got a friend who's been there or who's still there, they can ask around, see what vacancies there are, and then get you in there. So there you go. There are school, ESL training programs, Peace Corps, self-searching or self-employment, and hookups. Alright, so now I want to get into the differences between public and private when teaching English, and the differences between academy or institution versus an actual school, for real school. In my opinion, they both vary so much, it's hard to say there is an actual set difference. I taught at a private university, and unlike, now one thing I will say about universities is that, actually I think in general in China, the one main difference I would say is that public school is actually seen as better and more elite than private school in general, which is flip-flop from America, where in America the private schools are the preference and public school is more so available. Public school is hard to get into, and because a lot of times you don't have to pay, and so it's more sponsored, has more sponsors, gets more money from the government and all that good stuff, and so it's easier for them to take in students, and so they either have to pay very low fee or no fee, versus private school you're going to pay for everything. Now I will say about the teaching environment, that doesn't affect the teaching environment, because in private schools, because parents are paying for everything and China's all about face, if a student is failing class in private school, the teacher is expected to still just pass them, because their parent has paid for them and they don't want that kid to lose face, and then the kid can blame the teacher, and so the teacher loses face, and then the teacher represents the school, so the whole school loses face. That's how they run it there. That's how they explained it to me. Anyways, the difference between an academy or institute versus an actual school, that's where you're going to come into more of a variation. The academies or institutes are kind of like the South Korean hagwons. They self-employ. There's very little regulation from the government, and that's when you're going to be more likely to run into issues. with your employers. Now, not everybody has issues, but I would say there are more issues when it comes to working for an academy/institution versus a full school. Now, there are some schools that are called academies, but anyways, with a school, you're a little bit more secure. And so, in my opinion, I would go to school unless you know somebody who's worked for the institution or the academy, or can talk to someone who works for them, who's a foreigner from your country, so that you can get the real deal. So that's where I'm going to wrap this up. I hope this helps somebody. Just understand that there aren't, the preferences that I talked about earlier are just preferences. There are ways to get around almost actually every single one of those preferences. There's a way to get around every single one except for your passport when it comes to going into China. You don't even have to be from an English-speaking country to go and teach English in China. There were teachers there from Poland, there were teachers there from Ukraine, a lot of Caribbean teachers, Jamaican, Cuban, Mexico. Like, you do not have to be from those English. So if you are from one of those, not from those preferred countries, and you want to go and teach English abroad, or even teach your own language abroad, then I would suggest China. Anyways.